चलिए तो बच्चा लोग लास्ट क्लास तक हमने ऑर्गेनिजम्स एंड पॉपुलेशन में we discussed about biomes, and today we are going to start with major abiotic factors which affect the surrounding of an organism. So the first abiotic factor is temperature, and temperature is the most relevant factor. Okay, so temperature is the most relevant factor which affects the surrounding of an organism, how it behaves, where does it survives, or what are the adaptations in its body, all depend upon majorly on temperature. Okay, so temperature affects enzyme kinematics. You all know, as the temperature of the surrounding increases, the enzyme activity decreases. Why? It's because enzyme is a protein and it becomes denatured at higher temperatures. So at higher temperatures, enzymes slow down. So if an organism is surviving in a higher temperature, he or she or it must have certain adaptation according to it. So temperature affects enzyme kinetics, basal metabolic activities, and physiological function of the organism. So thermal tolerance decides the geographical distribution of different species to a larger extent. Okay, so where it is distributed, how it is distributed, it is depending mainly upon temperature tolerance. According to this ability of the organism, organisms are divided into two categories. First is stenothermal and the second is euthermal. So there are two categories. First is stenothermal and the second is euthermal. Stenothermal, organism which live in areas which have uniform temperature throughout the year, means these organisms cannot tolerate this temperature variation. For example, we can tolerate, we are here in India in May June where it is extreme summer, we tolerate that too, and now when it is extreme of winter we can tolerate this too. But for example, if a human is living near equator, he is used to of surviving only higher temperatures. So he cannot survive easily in colder areas. While in the case of uh, people living near poles, either North Pole or South Pole, they are comfortable of cold weather. They are adapted to survive cold weather. So whenever temperature increases, they feel uncomfortable. So stenothermal are the organisms who cannot tolerate change, or you may say fluctuations in the temperature. So they live in areas where temperature is uniform. It may be either that it is always very hotter, or it may be like that there is something like cold weather throughout the year. So these stenothermal organisms can survive only in these areas. Next comes the euthermal. These can tolerate large change in temperature as we are. We are euthermal. We can tolerate almost about 40 degrees of Celsius, 40 degrees Celsius of temperature in summer till 2 degree, 3 degree, 12 degree, 13, 14 degree, which is an average temperature nowadays. We can tolerate that too. Okay. So we are euthermal. But mind it, uh, euthermal and stenothermal in case of human is not that clear. Why? Because when we are facing extremes of winter, that is now, we wear warmer clothes so as to maintain our temperature. Same in the case of summer also. When we are facing extremities of this higher temperature, we use ACs or fans and something like that so as to maintain our temperature. So stenothermal and euthermal are not that clear-cut concept in accordance to humans. Okay. So yes, now comes the water. After light, water is most important factor. So it influences the life of whole of the organisms. It is an important component of protoplasm and is a universal solvent. Mind it, we have studied in class 11 transport of water in the chapter, in transport of water chapter in plants, or the chapter name was, I guess, transport in plants. Okay. So that in that part we studied that protoplasm is almost water only. So if protoplasm is only water, you can simply say that it is a important component of protoplasm, and it is also a universal solvent. Water is present in over more than 71% surface of Earth as ocean, lake, river, ice caps, and glaciers. Okay. So water is present in on Earth as in oceans, lakes, rivers, ice caps, and glaciers, and it consists almost of about 71% of the total water. Now, after that, uh, seawater also has a very high percentage of salt, that is 3.5. It is not for drinking purpose and not for our daily use. It is not for our daily use. Then comes the water present on land, also known as fresh water. This in this the salt content is low, that is less than 0.5%. Less than 0.5%. The salt concentration is measured in salinity per thousand. What it means? You have studied ppm, part per million, ppb, part per billion. उसी तरह you can also say part per thousand. So salinity, that is salt content in any water body, is measured in parts per thousand. So it is you can say drinkable water, or the water which we can use in our daily life, is less than 5% in inland water. 30 to 35% of the sea water, uh, wait, 30 to 35% in the sea, and more than 100. Acha, it is telling about the salt concentration is less than 5% in the fresh water, 30 to 35% in the sea, and more than 100% in some high, more than 100% in some hypersaline lagoons. Okay. So regular movement of water among various regions and components of biosphere occurs. Water changes its form from wait. So there is regular movement of water in all the components of biosphere. That is in aquatic component, that is hydrosphere, in air, that is in atmosphere, and in land, that is on lithosphere. As you all know, water is present in the liquid state in hydrosphere. Over there, it evaporates to go into atmosphere in vapor form, and then condenses to come back to lithosphere as well as to hydrosphere. Okay, so there is regular movement. Now, yes, this part is not that important. Water comes over land and water body as precipitation or rainfall. Till then, you need to remember, and after that, I don't think that it is that much important. So, next topic is light. The first was temperature, second is water, and the third is light. Light. You studied about light in physics. Now, let me tell you one thing. Light has a wide range of spectrum. What I mean by light is not that what you see. It is all the components of light, whether you see or you cannot see, because it is like that your eyes are unable to view it. It is not like that any organisms or any plant is unable to use that spectrum. So light has a wide variety of spectrum depending upon its wavelength, and mind it, short rays, uh, short rays coming from the sun constitute cosmic rays. Their wavelength is less than 10 to the power minus 5 nanometer. Gamma rays constitute wavelength from 10 to the power minus 3 to 10 to the power 5, minus 5 nanometer. Cosmic rays, gamma rays, and then X-ray, 10 to the power minus 1 to 10 to the power minus 2 nanometer, and then UV ray, 100 to 400 nanometer. This UV ray is you need to study in little depth. All the short wave radiations are extremely harmful, but most of them are trapped in ionosphere and mesosphere. And this ionosphere and mesosphere, I belong that. Yes, look at this. This is Earth. Earth has a layer of air around it known as atmosphere, and on the top of the atmosphere there is stratosphere. Sorry, ozonosphere. In this, ozone is present, which is responsible for filtering out all the harmful rays which are reaching on Earth. So this is important. UVC, UVB, and UVA. There are three types of UV rays. So UV rays are three types: UVA, UVB, UVC. The more the wavelength, the more harmful is it. So, sorry, what I said that the less the wavelength, shorter wavelengths are more harmful. So, minimum wavelength is of 100 to 180 nanometer. Sorry, 280 nanometer. It is lethal, can cause death. UVB 280 to 320 nanometer, quite harmful. While 320 to 400 nanometer, that is UVA, moderately harmful. Yes, this is like this. On an average, you can say about 180 nanometer wavelength light is UVC, that is lethal. 140 wavelength light, that is UVB, quite harmful. And 80 nanometer UVA, that it is moderately harmful. So yes, go through this. So UVC and UVB are absorbed by ozone layer in the stratosphere. A large amount of rest is dissipated by particles of the troposphere, the part of atmosphere which is closest towards the troposphere, and only a small amount reaches the earth. What is we are talking about this small amount? We are talking about ozone. So I guess this is not that much important, but yes, you can go through this diagram. Okay. One more thing. Light affects photosynthesis, growth, reproduction, movement, stratification, photoperiodism, and phenology. Now, what is phenology? A study of cyclic and seasonal changes uh, in the water bodies, especially in relation to climate and plant and animal life. Okay, so you can find this definition on Google. I just Googled it at my time. That's why it is written here. So these are the zones of lakes. It is not that much important, not given in the NCERT, but two, three things you need to remember that one, that is littoral zone is highly productive. This is zone one, means this is landmass. So on land, you find that this is okay. First, let me make it clear. This is landmass. Okay. On this landmass, here you can find water. This is water body. So what you see that here is a part on land where water is very shallow. यहाँ पानी सबसे कम गहरा है. This part is one, that is it is highly productive. Now open water body, this part is open. Now third, receives maximum light and light above compensation point, means in this part there is a comparatively good amount of photosynthesis going on. Fourth, no, not important. Yes, zone 5, no, zone 5, zone 6. This is zone 6. It is of perpetual darkness, means uh, you can say perpetual darkness means light cannot reach in this part of the pond, or you may say lake, and it is always dark in this area of the lake. Okay. Now again, moving forward. wait. Let me do something. So we talked about this. Now moving forward to the soil. Now soil is again a very important component. It consists of four components, that in which two is solid and two is non-solid. Soil consists of four components, two is solid and two is non-solid. And there is one more compound which you call as humus, which is of variable nature depending upon the plants, the animals which are residing in that place. So mineral particles are constituting about 40%. Then comes the number of organic matter, 10%. Then air and water, 25%. Okay. Now, the type of soil depends upon climate and vegetation of that area. And chief characteristics of the soil are studied with the help of soil profile. Soil profile means all the characters of the soil included at one place. प्रोफाइल को आप हिंदी में बायोडाटा भी बोल सकते हो. तो you can say as what is your profile means what is your biodata, where you belong from, what you studied, what are your habits, uh, anything special about you. All this is your profile. So in the same way it comes the soil profile. Soil profile means all the characteristics of the soil. Okay, so chief characteristics of soil are studied with the help of soil profile, which depends upon climate and vegetation of that area. Whatever is the climate and vegetation of that area, you study on the which the soil profile depends on that. Okay, so next, pedon. What is pedon? Here comes a term, pedon. Uh, soil, or you can say, what you say that a smallest three-dimensional view, a smallest three-dimensional view. So this is a 3D view. A smallest 3D view of a soil is known as pedon. Smallest 3D view of a soil is known as pedon. Okay.